The greatest number of millionaires in the world are said to be from the field of sales. One word that is a recurring decimal among salespeople or sales personnel is the word incentives. Incentives are rewards that are offered to people in order to motivate them into giving in their best results. Are there lessons we can learn from salespeople on how we can use incentives or how we can incentivize our children into transforming them from reluctant readers into bookworms? I'll get back to this. Hi, I'm Gozi Okure. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this channel, we discuss books and how to leverage reading for success in life. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you can give me a thumbs up, that would be amazing. In today's video, we'll be looking at how to transform reluctant readers into bookworms. Can we really transform reluctant readers into bookworms? Very well, because you see, in this life, change is the only permanent thing. There will always be a change. A child who is not doing well in school today can become an A student tomorrow. We can see that example in Ben Carson, who moved from being termed a dull student into becoming a straight A student and eventually became a professional in the world. I normally tell people that there is no dull child. God created only stars. I say that most times when you see a child who is not doing well in school, it's a child who is distracted or a child who is not well motivated. Now, one sure way we can motivate our children into becoming very good, both in academics and in reading, is to incentivize them. What can we offer them? And then giving children incentives is something that some parents have used over the years. You hear John Maxwell say that when he was young, his father gave him incentives to read books, okay? This wise father knew that there are some books that are so transformational, so he will offer his son money to read those books. And my husband applies that also for our son. You hear him say, Danny, read this book and I will give you XYZ. He will offer him something to read a particular book and then to send him a summary. And one thing you need to know is that children love challenges. When you give a child a challenge or when you motivate a child by giving him incentives, they will take up that challenge and they will do whatever it is very well. When my son did his jam, my husband used it. He said, son, get this score and I will give you this. And he was highly motivated and he did so marvelously well in that exam. Okay, you know, last year I was holding free webinars for parents on how to give their children reading culture, and the testimonials I got from those parents were so heartwarming. I remember a particular woman told me that the moment he mentioned incentives, that the daughter sat up and the child began to read novels. As the woman was supplying her with books, she was reading. And you know, the beautiful thing here is that consistency is what we are looking for, right? As the child is reading, the mother is offering her more incentives and giving her more books. What the child doesn't know is that man is a creature of habit, and whatsoever we do consistently over a period of time becomes a habit, okay, becomes habitual. So as the child is reading, she doesn't even know that she's falling in love with books, and eventually she won't even remember those incentives. It's so important that you apply incentives in motivating your children into reading, because if incentives can work with sales personnel and help them to give their best effort, it will equally help your children to become bookworms, okay? Let's look at 3 advantages of using incentives for our children in turning them from reluctant readers into bookworms. The first advantage is that it offers children increased motivation. Yesterday, you know, I called one of my family members, and after talking with her, I asked after her son. She told me that he's at home preparing for junior WAEC, but that he was not reading. I said, really? I said, okay, give him the phone. And I spoke with him. By the end of our discussion, he told me that he wants a bicycle, right? He wants a bicycle. So deal. As if you're able to read consistently for this exam and you come out with a very beautiful result, we will get you a bicycle. And he was excited. I said, okay, give your mommy back the phone. So now told the mommy, you know, take it off from here. Encourage him. Tell him there's a bicycle inside. There is a reward. There is a motivation inside you have placed before him. Giving children incentives increases their motivation. So you will see that this child will go ahead and begin to read. This is especially important when children are not interested or they're not giving in their best effort. If you give them incentives, it has a way of heightening their expectation, and with that they will begin to read. And the beautiful thing is you're trying to put an association, all right, an association between reading and something beautiful. This appears to be something small, but it is huge because it's a psychological thing. I was talking with one young man not long ago, and he told me that while he was growing up, he associated reading with hard work. He associated reading with pain. Even now, he can't read much because it's a mental thing. Okay, so when you offer a child incentives, he reads because there is something beautiful that comes out of his reading. It helps him to form an association in his mind between reading and enjoyment. Okay, so this is so beautiful. The second advantage of giving children incentives or offering children incentives is that it leads to improved reading habits. When a child knows that if I finish this exam, there's a bicycle waiting for me, every day you will see that he will begin to read. And that consistency in reading is going to improve his reading habit. Before you know it, he will develop a reading routine. And this reading routine will help him even to improve in every other areas of his life. He will improve in his pronunciation, he will improve in his reading ability, his proficiency, and before you know it, his improvement will spread to every other area of his academics. So it's so important that we use incentives for children. That's the second advantage. The third advantage of giving children incentives is that it has a way of enhancing their confidence and their self-esteem. You know, some children might think that they are dull, but not knowing that the fact that they're not doing well in school is not because they are dull, it's because they're not paying so much attention to their reading. So when you give them incentives and they begin to read, they will see that they will begin to do better. And once they begin to do it better, it has a way of boosting their confidence and their self-esteem. Now, before you know it, that child, you would have unleashed the giant that is trapped within him. You are waking the giant within him, and he will begin to do excellently well, both in his academics and in every other area of his life. But it's equally so important that if you're offering incentives to children, that you take note of these following points. Okay, the first thing is that you must make sure that whatever incentive you're offering to that child is something that he really loves and wants. Just like our baby that said that he wants a bicycle, you see that it's a desire in his heart. Okay, so let the incentive you're offering to a child be something that that child really wants. For a baby, the incentives could be a child maybe who loves pizza, and you tell him, if you do this and that very well, I'll get you a packet of pizza. He loves pizza. Let it be something that the child really wants. Okay, now the next thing is that whatever incentive you're offering to the child, let it be specific. Let the goal be clear. No ambiguities, right? No doubt. Don't establish doubt in the heart of a child. Just as my husband used for our son, say, if you are able to score this point, I will give you this. Let it be something that is defined. Just like this, our baby. Now that I said, okay, you want a bicycle, then you must make sure you give us maybe 5 A's or 6 A's or something, or make sure that you are able to pass all your papers, you have your bicycle. So let it be defined. Let it be something that is specific, right? Then the next thing you need to know is that the moment you offered incentive and a child begins to read and begins, to do well and do better, gradually withdraw the incentives. You're not going to be given these incentives for life, right? You're giving it within a specific period of time, just to make sure that that child develops a liking, that child develops a habit, that reading becomes habitual with the child. Then you should gradually withdraw the incentives. I want to believe that you go out there and motivate your children. Instead of screaming at these children, instead of beating them, try incentives. We can see in John Maxwell, the result of incentivizing children is something that is very beautiful. Even from the mothers, from the parents who have been attending my webinars, they all have very beautiful things to say. I remember one woman sent me a message and said, "You have turned my darkness into light." These things are very simple things that parents can do, but a lot of parents are not reading. So I want to encourage you to go out there and use incentives to bring out the champion in your children. Thank you so much for being a part of this beautiful video. I want to encourage you to please subscribe to my channel if you've not done so. Give me a thumbs up and tell somebody, tell another mother somewhere who is having issues with children and reading. Send this link to them so that they equally can begin to incentivize their children, and together we will all raise champions. God bless you really good.